SEO is marketing where you tailor your website to what people are searching for. So when people are searching for websites like yours, they are using specific terms. And the job of someone who's doing SEO is to put those specific terms and language and answers to the questions that people are looking for on their website. So you can tell Google, hey, this is a one-stop shop for anybody who is looking for websites like me. And then if Google likes that, they will give it to the people looking for you. And that's kind of the flywheel of SEO, is just consistently figuring out what terms people use to find companies like yours, optimizing your website to rank for those terms, and then just making sure that you're making that content better, answering all the questions that might come up, and have something for every type of searcher that uses those terms.
Yeah. So it's almost like a matchmaking between the search queries and the website. So you're trying to marry the two together. And the better that you can do that matchmaking, the more that Google will reward you with more traffic like that in the future.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. So there's a lot of components that goes into SEO as an umbrella term there. Can you kind of break down what do you think about like the big categories of SEO? Like I'm thinking like keywords is one batch, the way your page structure is another batch, or another category. How do you think about it?
Yeah, so I think about it as so there's one sector. So on page SEO is the actual doing of making your website better. So that's putting the keywords onto your website. That's, making your images relevant to the terms that people are using to find your website. That's almost like, I guess maybe to put it into a different perspective, like that's almost like opening a restaurant and putting signs on the windows saying like, hey, we sell burgers, or like we have beer, or we have french fries. Like that's kind of like what on page SEO is. And then there's technical SEO, where that's if sometimes your images are a little heavy, so they take a while to load on the website, and so you want to make those images smaller so they don't take as long to load. And then there's a hierarchy of how Google kind of assesses a website, and that's using header tags. So there can only be one header tag, and that's like the title of your page. And then you can have a couple header 2 tags, which is should be related to the header 1 tag. It kind of just elaborates on the header 1 tag a little bit. And then it goes all the way to 6. And it works in the same way. You just want to get like, I guess maybe more specific based on your main point, which is your header 1 tag. So that's technical SEO. And then you can do local SEO, um, which is like generating reviews on Google and Yelp and all these other places. And then you can do there's one more, but I can't think about it. But the three main ones that I focus on page SEO, technical SEO, and local SEO. And I would say technical SEO is like, if somebody comes to the restaurant, that the example I just gave, and they're just like, oh, these guys have like burgers and all that kind of stuff, but your service sucks, and like your bathrooms are terrible, and like the quality of your food's actually just terrible. That's kind of what technical SEO is. It's like fine tuning the internal things. And then local SEO, I guess to translate it into my restaurant example again, it's just getting reviews and getting referrals, um, telling other people to tell other their friends how great your place is.
Yeah. 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 Does, we hear, I do a lot of like SEO work for some of our clients as well too. And one of the things we get asked is like, what about backlinks? What are those? Which categories that fall into, or is that a separate category altogether?
Yeah, that was the one I forgot. So that's off page SEO. So that's going to it's similar to local SEO in my head. It's going to other websites, and it's saying like, hey, our website might be relevant to your website. Is there any way that you'd want to share what we have on your website? And maybe we'll do the same thing. Like it's somewhat of a trade-off. And this was a couple months ago. I wrote an article on STR Lift, and it's It's called the local guide or something like that. And it's essentially one of the main points is how to get backlinks. So one way that short-term rental entrepreneurs could get backlinks is write like a local guide of their area. So I'm in northern Wisconsin. We got a bunch of small towns, but like they're really well known for fishing. They're really well known for mountain biking, and you could write guides for each activity that are popular. And then chances are like fishing outfitters will have a website, or I know most of the mountain biking trails have like a committee or some sort of organization behind them. And you could go to these places and just say, hey, we wrote something on you. Would you mind putting it on your website? In return, we'll link out to you on our website. And so that's a really good way to get backlinks for short-term rentals.
Yeah, a lot of folks will do this. For our listeners here, one of the most effective ways to do this is the chambers of commerce. Almost every, especially if you're in a vacation market, every tourist destination will have a chambers of commerce page there. And there they list out all the vendors, all the businesses, small businesses that are operating in that area. And they're usually pretty open to having you listed on there. I'm in Gatlinburg, and they make it super easy for us to be listed on the Chamber of Commerce. So that's like an easy way for you to get your first backlink generated there. On top of that, there's like, yeah, go ahead.
And I was just talking. My buddy owns a travel agency, so we kind of just talk shop all the time because we're somewhat in the same sector. And he brought up a good point just last week, which is crazy. Destination DMOs, destination marketing organizations, are also another avenue you could take as well, which are similar to Chamber of Commerce. Like we have Visit Duluth, which is huge. We have a couple other towns that are just like Visit Wisconsin, like a couple other destination marketing organizations that just like they're more than willing to have a conversation and kind of do the whole I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine approach.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's even like directories are more general within the SEO or kind of the web space where you get listed on the directory. And you can even think of like Yelp as even being a directory there where they link back to you. Those are a way to get backlinks, but they're probably not as efficient or effective as like the Chamber of Commerce or the destination directories that you mentioned, like Visit Wisconsin. Like that one actually has a strong score because they're actually the same folks that would actually visit your property. Whereas like someone going on Yelp it's a bit more general there. Would you agree with that?
I totally 100%.
Yeah, it's almost like every one of these categories has a certain weight to it, where if you do it really well and you're driving traffic from adjacent verticals or adjacent companies, even that ends up like magnifying the backlinks that may be referred to you, or any of the other tactics there.
Right. Well, and if you go with the like the smaller websites, so if you have coffee shops in your area, or if you have multiple like fishing outfitters, I'm using my scenario again, but if you have multiple like maybe like theme parks or something, wherever like whatever big cities have, those might be easier from a volume standpoint to kind of just reach out just super rapidly and just collect backlinks, and then like Travel Wisconsin or Visit Duluth, like those are kind of the bigger fish. Like those are kind of just like bigger websites that would just boost your site traffic way better than all the smaller ones, but it doesn't hurt to get all the small fish as well.
Yeah. You mentioned something very interesting. We spend a lot of like earlier about like technical SEO. We actually spend a lot of time on our websites on that specific section there, because that's something that unless you're the developer of the website, you really have very little control over some of the technical SEO. It's like one of the things that we did early on was like we found that when we did our page load times, like on our sites, it was not the score that we wanted to. Like I think we were hitting probably like sub 50, and that was not good for us at least. And what we ended up doing was we download images from the PMSs. So we're able to get all the high quality images, and then we started loading that on mobile. And you probably know this, like when they crawl, they see how fast that load time is. And if you're loading that high res images on mobile, it ends up hurting you quite a bit on your SEO rank. So we ended up having to download that image from the PMS, and then regenerate 4 different versions of that, formats of that, based on the different screen sizes. And that significantly shot up our SEO rank on our pages.
Yeah, I've seen that
That's
too.
like yeah, that's one example. And then all of our templates, we try to follow like all the H1s all the way through H6 tags, so that if you're loading one of our templates out there, it's following the best practices out there, so that you don't have to figure out like, oh, do I tag this as H1? Do I tag this as H3? You kind of follow that as you kind of build your building blocks there. So it's good to know that some of the stuff that we put into practice is like helping our customers rank a bit higher in SEO.
Yeah, totally.
Um,
Yeah, and animations too, another big thing. I see a lot of, especially in our space, like the rental space. Like, there's a lot of websites with animations. I never build websites with animations because of how slow it makes everything.
yep.
So that's another thing I would recommend that people kind of. I almost want to say avoid. Like, just if you don't have to use an animation, maybe don't, because those do slow things down a lot.
Yeah, our first template had some animations in there, and we almost immediately cut them out. And not just for SEO, but it ended up dropping our conversion as well too. So when we tracked that conversion, when we took out the animations out there, it actually lifted our conversion quite a bit. And it was mainly because like it's kind of distracting from a guest perspective when you see the animations flow through. What you want to
Hmm.
do is actually like tell a story and try to nudge them towards the conversion to actually end up booking. And more often than not, the animations are there as eye candy to distract you more than actually like funneling you to the right place.
Yeah, totally. Well, especially in this day and age, like, it's tell a story as clear as you can, as fast as you can, and animations just slow things down.
Yeah, yeah. Nice. Any other tips on the SEO front that you want to give to our listeners?
Uh, I guess maybe I could talk about some tools. So
Yeah.
SEMrush is the tool I use for essentially everything when it comes to SEO. So SEMrush helps me figure out what terms people use to find my website, what terms people use to find my competitor's website. SEMrush also helps me figure out the technical SEO stuff. So, like, what part of my page is broken? How are my header tags formatted? It'll just tell you. Like, you don't even
Yeah.
have to guess. It's beautiful. And then there's a couple other things you can do. So you could create a list of like keywords you or terms that you want to go after. Um, you do competitor research. So if you're kind of a new investor into an area and you're not super familiar who's around, SEMrush is a good way to figure that out. And you can just build lists. And so SEMrush is great. It is pricey, so if you want something free, Google Keyword Planner is another great one. Uh, that's free so long as you have an ad account,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see, what terms are people using to find your website, but also get ideas. And so Google Keyword Planner will give you some ideas based on your website or the terms that you want to go after. And then the other one you people really should use is Google Search Console, because Google Search Console um, just tells you how you're doing. It monitors website performance. So it tells you, like, are you getting more clicks after you spend 10 hours doing SEO stuff? Or how are you ranking? Are you ranking higher? Are you ranking lower? Are you getting more eyeballs on your site? If you are getting more eyeballs on your site, are the people that are seeing your website, are they clicking through? So Google Search Console answers all those questions. So those three tools are probably like the greatest three tools I can recommend. I use a couple others, but those are like the backbone to my process.